everybody. Welcome to the L-5 podcast. Welcome again. Tonight, we are reviewing another full-length feature. Tonight's feature was Mulan, the live-action remake from 2020.
The legend has arrived. Exclusively on Disney+.
I'm Mulan.
Disney's Mulan.
All right, so since we did the movie Mulan, it was on Disney+. We just now started watching it. The first time that it aired on Disney+, they did it as a premiere title, so you had to pay like $30 in order to watch the film, and now it's actually available to anyone who is a Disney Plus subscriber. So, who would like to go first tonight with their 17-minute review of Mulan from 2020?
I'll go first, and the reason I'm going first is because I don't know if I'm the only one, but I have never seen Mulan, don't know the story Mulan, nothing. So this was my true first time ever seeing it. So I have nothing to compare it to. So I don't know. Has everybody else seen it besides me?
Yeah.
Okay.
A while ago, yes.
All right. So I thought maybe I would start so you can hear my totally have no clue opinion about the first 17 minutes. So the first thing I said is Disney spared nothing. It looks beautiful. So I thought in the first 17 minutes, I thought it looked really good on my TV screen. You know, I know initially they were hoping this would be in the theater, but it looked good on my TV. I had no problems with that. I said, I don't know the story of Mulan, but I'm captivated enough to want to keep watching. So during those first 17 minutes, I was very interested in what was going on. So I was there for it. I said, I love movies where people rail against what others believe they should be. Write your own story, girl. And then I put in parentheses for anybody who saw my Soul review, where we were talking about soul and people being born maybe with attributes that other people didn't have. I just want to clarify that, you know, I think it's a very interesting subject. And when I say here, I like people railing against it, even if you're not good at it, if it's your dream and you want to do it, I'm all for you doing whatever you want to do. It's just that, you know, we were dealing with soul, the concept of maybe, you singing again. Maybe you were born Mariah Carey and just naturally have talent. Or maybe you're like, I don't know, Shanae from Martin and you have no natural singing talent. But, you know, if that's what you want to do, you do it, girl. So that's kind of what I meant here. I wanted to make sure that I was clear. When I say some people may have natural talent and some people don't. But regardless, if it's your dream and it's what you want to pursue, then I feel like don't let anybody tell you otherwise, even if that means living under a bridge because you're not making money doing the things you love. So let's see. I also wrote, I predict that the witch will realize that Mulan is just like her and they will bond. And then I put laugh out loud because I was joking, but I was like, I bet they'll end up finding out they're the same thing, because what I felt like is it kept talking about Mulan's chi and the witch. So for me, a witch in the negative connotation, I guess, of a witch is something that's made. It was clear to me that the witch in this movie was born this way. So I was like, so was Mulan with her chi. She's not a witch. These are just women who happen to have been born with special powers or unique somethings of another. So I didn't feel like she was really a witch. And so that's why I felt like whatever she was, that's what Mulan was becoming. And that's what I thought in the first 17 minutes.
And what was your rating?
Oh, at that time I gave it a 3.
A 3. Okay.
Yes.
I'm writing that I'm not excited about this movie. It's pulling from so many different places. It's crazy. I've already got our Game of Thrones Khal Drago comparison and our Star Wars references with the Trade Federation making a blockade. There's some editing that's really peculiar, and they're mimicking the style of some of the Asian filmmaking that's just really spectacular, but it's just not as good. So the fight scenes and the spectacular things that happen with flying and the supernatural sort of abilities, it just isn't as good as what we've seen before in other films. So I think we need to look at some of these other films a little bit more, just beyond Crouching Tiger, but beyond those, the American ones, but the ones for the American audiences. So I think we could do better than this movie at 17 minutes. And so I was starting off at a 2.5. I was really not pulled into this at 17, and I think that's because I have that stigma about these remakes, and it has been out for a little while now, and so I've heard a lot of people's reactions to this. So I wasn't expecting this to be a great film. So that's kind of where I was at 17.
I echo the 2.5. That's the only reason I'm going next is because Lord have mercy. I'm like, where am I talking animals? I love sorry, y'all. That's the first thing your boy put on the paper. I know Dana have not seen the original, but I like when I'm watching animations and these funny sort of original things where the animals are just as lively as the main characters and they're funny. Anyway, I was like, where they're talking animals, it's not funny, it's not as intriguing. And I already picked that up in the first 17. So I just, that again, that's the first thing I put is where am I talking animals? And in the chat, I think I put Eddie Murphy. I wanted to call him, like, where you at? You know, can you be a voiceover? The custom set pieces, were pretty phenomenal. Actually, I love the design. I love the aesthetic, like you can tell they spent money on the budget for the set pieces, both for Mulan's character and the others. And so I did like that. I did, I had my TV that's the reason I didn't want to see it on the phone. I wanted to see it on the TV in, the highest definition to see those things. And so I got that. So I did put a couple thumbs up for that. So set pieces were great. I hope the plot picks up the first 17 to me. I haven't seen the original Mulan in a while, but this one just kind of dragged along. And I was just like, okay, like, are we going to pick up? Are we going to fast forward? So I didn't understand the tempo. But I knew, kind of like Bryan was saying too, I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew if they were going to do this in a real kind of, authentic way that makes these characters human, how are they going to do it? And I still was like, I remember seeing from the original, how can they do this? Like, how can they give the original film, accreditation and service and not disservice it while making it real and all that? And I was like, if they fool me, fine, I will, correct myself and then I will be wrong. But so far I put a 2.5, and that's because, again, I kind of paused on that. I didn't know if they were going to fool me, but so far in the movie, in the first 17, I think I was right. So just my opinion, 2.5. And I concur with Bryan.
Well, first 17 minutes, I've seen the original cartoon, cartoon version, and I know Disney's been doing all these remakes, but I have not seen any of the remakes. Not one. Like, I've started one of them, and it's like, yeah, I'm not really into this. I prefer the cartoon. So this is the first one I've actually sat down and watched the remake of it. And being that in mind, I also was thinking, I think I didn't read much about it except that it was not going to have like the songs. It's like, okay, let me not think of it as a remake of Mulan, just Mulan the movie in real life. Mm-hmm. And once I did that, I liked it. It wasn't like the best movie ever or anything like that, but I was like, okay, it's the same plot for most Disney movies. You have a girl, you have something, she's got to overcome an obstacle. And the fact that she's different, and that makes her ostracized, and we know she's going to overcome it. So show me how to make me want to watch it. And I think they were doing that. Is that, okay, what she's going to do? And I knew enough about I've seen the cartoon, so I knew kind of what was going to happen. But I like the fact that they brought the witch in there. So you had that. As soon as I saw, I was like, oh, villain, not villain, because she's gonna see the light sometime. I know she is. But the fact that you saw her, and I was thinking initially, like, okay, this is when Mulan goes bad, because that's what's going to happen if she goes that route. And let's see if she chooses the good route. And quite frankly, sometimes I cheer that she will not choose the good route, because I would like a better movie. But when I saw it, and it really kept me wanting to see it. And I liked the cinematography of it too. When they showed the little village, I'm not sure if they call them villages, or was it called a village or just her town or whatever, and you saw all their outfits and stuff like that. And I was like, oh gosh, we need the Mulan collection at the store because I wanted something with those colors in it.
Yeah, the colors are amazing.
It was really nice. And I just really did enjoy that. When I saw the villain, not villain, that anti-Mulan with the witch, and I with the spider thing with the with the matchmaker, it's like, just say it's a spider. Did we have to go through all that?
Yeah.
But I know that kind of moves the story along.
Right.
At the same time, it's like, we made a whole lot out of a spider, but proves the point that she was not what the matchmaker thought she should be. But all that just kept me really watching it. So really for that amount of time, I was giving a solid 3, because even if y'all weren't there, I was like, I'll still watch it, you know. So I gave it at that point a solid 3.
Okay, so the first 17 minutes, I echo a lot of things that you guys were saying. I love the original Mulan. I've seen it many, many times. I actually watched it recently, probably about a month ago. So it's still fresh in my mind. But what I wrote was, I really like this. It definitely has Crouching Tiger vibes, like we were talking about, or hero vibes. I love the color palette and the cinematography. However, when I was watching on my screen, it seemed like the saturation was turned up to 200. Like, I was looking at it and going, is something wrong with my settings? Did I change something by accident? Is Disney piping in something? What's going on? So the saturation was kind of throwing me off, but I still like the set pieces and the cinematography and the color palette. All the Mulan animation themes are there. So the whole thing with her father and her doing the matchmaker and the outfits and stuff, all that is there. Like, they stripped it straight from the original animation. So I really like that. I didn't like that they had to add a female villain, the witch. She's not in the original, and well, sort of, but not really, you know. We'll get into that a little bit later. But when I saw that, I was like immediately turned off, because I felt like the only reason we'll get into that. I didn't really like that part, so we'll get into that. I like the takeaways. I don't know what I was saying here. Okay. I like the fact that Jason Scott Lee was in it again. Jason Scott Lee is the one who plays the male villain. And I hadn't seen him in years. I remember him from the movie Dragon and Bruce Lee story, and he was fantastic. So I hadn't seen him in a long time. I won't talk about that yet. And I'm also glad that they have kept some of the songs in instrumental versions. So even though I didn't get the full musical songs from the original, they kept some of them in instrumental forms in the score. So I'm glad we got glimpses of it, but then I was still singing to myself and going, where is my Reflection song? Where is, all those other songs? So I gave it actually 3.5 at 17 minutes. I was actually enjoying it quite well, except for little odds and ends.
So one thing I wanted to say real quick, right immediately after that 17 minutes, this is when she catches the plates and the cups. And did anybody know this? And I may have missed it, but they concentrated so much on her pouring the tea. I never saw the tea fall out of the cups. And I was like, did they drink it? Did it fall out and I just missed it? And I said I was going to go back and look, but I didn't. And I know that's like trivial, but because it concentrated on her pouring the tea so much, I was like, where's the tea at? Okay, sorry. I didn't want to mention that in my 17 because it was immediately after the 17.
It was right there.
It was right there.
So everybody got tea in their cups, and then the cups went all flying, but there was no tea.
I didn't see
flying.
any tea.
Huh.
It's funny because some of those dishes broke, so
yeah,
the tea should have came out.
There should have been water on the floor somewhere.
That would have been. Yeah. They could have made that beautiful with the flying tea drops and stuff. Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. I was like, did I miss it? Okay.
Maybe we missed it.
So let's continue our discussion about Mulan, and we are about to spoil the heck out of this movie. So spoiler alert.
Warning, 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 warning.
If anybody wants to mention any spoilers.
She dies in the end.
Got him.
That's funny. Spoiler alert, they changed this cricket to a spider. The spider was supposed to be a cricket. That's actually like a pet of hers. A pet that she has in the original movie is the cricket.
Oh, did the cricket spoil the matchmaker scene in the first
cricket
place?
was in there and spoiled the matchmaker, and it was a spider. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. There's clearly there's going to be some comparisons between this and the original animated movie.
Yes.
So some of us have seen this movie before, right? And so I was curious after seeing this. It has been a while since I've seen the animated Mulan. So today I went back and I skimmed through some of it because I wanted to see how much was different. There were some story points in the live version that I felt like were really different, and I was right, they were. But I hadn't noticed before that the animation style of Mulan, I think, was done probably around the same time as Stitch, because she's got a dog little brother who reminded me very much of the Stitch characters. Yeah, she's got a dog. So there's lots of little.
Yeah, there's lots.
So that dog didn't talk. Sorry, Jeremy, but
but it's still there.
Yeah, but she got a little sister instead, I guess. But anyway, those were some things that I just wanted to say were a little different. But when I was the biggest thing that I'm just going to jump into it. The biggest thing that was different, the reason I wanted to go back is, and I think this is the biggest change I think they made in this movie from the original, was the reveal. The reveal that she is not a boy. And in this version, I think they did it so much better. In the animated movie, she gets injured in battle and passes out, and she wakes up in a tent. Well, before she even wakes up in the tent, the doctor goes and spills the story to the captain, and the captain goes in, or the guy that she had a crush on. I don't know which one it was, but the leader of the regiment goes in, and she wakes up and sits up, and then sees the bandages, the strapping, and everything, and then she's out. It's all over. And she didn't get to choose when to be truthful about the whole thing. And I really like the way that this film changes that, so that she chooses when to become truthful, because they made such a big they really made honor and dishonor and being true really big themes in this, and I think they just did that so well. It was really powerful, and that additional character, the witch, I think played a really interesting role in this. I liked her, so I liked that character, especially her change and how she did end up helping Mulan at the end. But I was surprised to see the hawk flying around in the animated film. I'm like, oh, so she was in this. But she just didn't take human form. Or it was just a smart hawk.
It was just a hawk.
Yeah. So I really liked that. I liked how she did the whole body,
transformation.
Body transformation or possession trick that she did, so she could deceive people. And I thought that was a really nice addition to the story. But overall, that being able to choose when you tell your story, I think that was a very powerful thing to add to make a change to this.
So that's interesting, Bryan. So talking about how she decided to come out and everything. So I did, obviously, since I hadn't seen the old one, this is the only way I knew that she did it. So I agree with you. It sounds like this was a better way. What I did, and I talked with Corey about this. So, and I know we joked about the whole feminist and all that funny stuff. I'm sure we'll talk about later, back and forth in text. But what I didn't like about it is how she physically did it. So she removes her armor, fine, whatever, even though you would think most people want to continue to wear that in some battle. But okay, fine. But the pulling down of her hair bothered me because it was stupid. Okay, I mean, there's a reason you don't wear your hair down in war. First of all, it makes you more potentially to be a victim, right? You know, and they can grab your hair. Also, I don't know if y'all noticed in one scene where she was walking through, it actually flies in her face. And I'm like, this is another reason you don't wear your hair down. And talking with Corey about it, this was supposed to be the way she reveals to everybody she's a woman. And I don't like that because the hair doesn't make you female or doesn't make you a woman. Like, you know, and I don't know if y'all remember that movie, Just One of the Guys. So I was like, Corey, so if I didn't have long hair as a female and couldn't do that, it's my only other way to rip my shirt open, you know, like I didn't really like that. I can't tell you the better way to do it because I haven't put that much thought into it. But to me, that whole thing with the hair down made no sense. And to me, it really was only there to say, look, I'm actually a girl. But as we talked about earlier, with all those top knots going on, every man out there, they had let their hair down, probably would look just like her. So I don't feel like that says I am a woman. So I hated that. Like I wasn't feeling that part of it. I did like the witch in that, you know how we talk about complicated villains or heroes where they're just not one dimensional. And that's kind of how I felt about the witch. Like now I think at this point, she's kind of somewhat one dimensional, maybe not completely, but hearing her backstory, how she got to that. I mean, to me, this was a big theme in the movie about how we are treating women. And here we have a woman, a witch, who probably could have helped save all y'all's butts all this time. She could have been a great warrior and everything, but because she was born with the wrong parts, y'all don't want her. So I like the witch because this is not who she wanted to be. This is who she became because of her circumstances. And so, you know, again, I go back and forth as to villain or, you know, just a person in dealing with their circumstances or whatever. But I felt she had more substance than the actual guy villain or whatever. He was just like, you killed my dad, brother, whoever. Yeah. And then I'm coming to take over, you know, like, whatever. We've seen it, heard it, whatever. So story-wise, I was more interested in her than they could have got rid of him altogether and made her the villain for me. Like,
that's what I thought they were going to do, to be honest with you.
I mean, I felt her more. I just, you know, I don't know how that story would have looked, but yeah, I thought she was more interesting to me than the actual true, I think, main villain of the story. And I didn't realize she was new. I thought she was there all along.
I mean, new-ish, we'll say. We'll say she was there all along, but just not in human form. Okay. Because she was the Hawk, and the Hawk was in the original. But
yeah, so the other change, that transformation, the reveal in the animated movie, Mulan as a boy, Ping, I think they were calling him Ping.
Yeah, Ping.
He did the they had the battle at the bottom of the hill, and he caused that avalanche as a boy. You know, he pointed the cannon at the mountain to make the avalanche happen. And so they reversed this. She made the change that so much earlier in the film, honestly, than the animation.
How did she reveal herself in the film?
So in the animation, like what I was saying before, she gets hurt in the avalanche after she crazily rescues everybody as a boy, and she just passes out.
Okay, so
and then she wakes up in a tent, and the medic or the doctor noticed. So yeah, it's kind of anticlimactic. It's like she didn't get it was taken from her. Yeah.
Well, I liked the witch too. I thought that it added a whole lot more depth to the movie, especially since there's no, singing or talking animals. So having the witch there helped. Initially, I was glad she was there because I knew that's going to be the anti-Mulan, but the fact that when she first brought out and they kind of did her backstory, that's what I liked. That made her a little bit different, and then understanding her position, that she wasn't truly a villain per se. She became that because he was the only one that accepted her, and really he accepted her as a tool because no one else did. Everyone seemed to turn against her. And the fact that her helping out Mulan was like, okay, you did something that I didn't do. I couldn't, or I wasn't able to do, was be accepted, because they still let you lead. And technically, she wasn't accepted all that much. I mean, enough, but to get the job done. But at least she saw that what could happen for her. And I think she thought maybe the reason why she saved Mulan was because maybe that was her redemption. Because I don't think the Chinese were going to be like, you're forgiven for this. I don't, I think she realized like, yeah, I do this, or I'm gonna disappear into the ether because there's nowhere else I can go.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that we see her story, because she talks about the villain, so I found you on, walking through the desert, and that's how, she could have died out there. And part of it, I think that she went with him was because of the fact that he did rescue her, even though he used her as a tool, but at least he was willing there to save her. And the fact that she saw that Mulan, what she could do, and she really accepted herself. And I didn't think when they were doing that whole fighting sequence, it says you're weak because you don't accept yourself, and it does bring back Star Wars and all that kind of stuff about acceptance. You need to accept accept what's inside you. That if you don't, you're weak. And I saw that, and I still really enjoyed it, and I knew all that was coming. But I have to agree with Dana on the whole, now I'm a girl, I'm gonna take down the hair, and it's like my hair doesn't come down, so what am I doing? For me it was like, okay, if you just take this down, now you're a woman. And like you said, taking off all the armor. What was the point? I mean, I really love that red she was wearing. But I was like, where's the armor? I mean, was that all that really necessary? But I guess, when it comes to movies and stuff, you have to have this, beach curls and all that to make yourself like a woman. Because if you, don't have it, I guess not a woman. But that, and she had to make the decision for herself, which is what I also liked about it compared to the original movie, was that she made the decision that I am a woman, either accept me or kill me or whatever, but I don't want to go back in dishonor, but I've done this. And basically I've earned my place. What you gonna do about it? And so I really liked this movie in the end. So, I mean, all the things that happened with the, what was it? Hidden Dragon. What's the movie? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that part, but I do agree. Either you're going to go all that way or not at all, but you're going a little bit like, it's, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon light. It's not the same. It's not exact same precision they had when those fighting sequences, but overall, I still enjoyed the movie.
I want y'all to repeat after me. So everyone repeat after me. High frame rate.
High frame rate
does not equal good all the time.
Does not equal good all the time.
High frame rate.
High frame rate
does not equal good all the time.
Does not equal good all the time.
And Staci hit on a little bit, but I'm gonna continue that with the frame rate, the scenes, and they were jumping and the horses flying. I felt that those were some of the shining moments that should have been like more emotional and more like instead of putting the frame rate and tweaking it all the way up, put more emotion, put more connection. Like, people flying does not equal connections to me. And maybe that's just me, but there were, I didn't count how many high frame rate scenes there were, but I just remember like, yo, this is like, instead of substituting good substance and storytelling and character development, just people flying. And I guess with swords and different fight scenes, that's cool. But every movie that does those swords and fighting, it doesn't need that. Like, I don't know, like just people flying in the air and blood. I put a note down for myself. There wasn't a lot of blood. Like if you're again with the high frame rate, if you slashing and samurai, there is blood and things flying, and I didn't see it, and I was confused. And I was like, am I missing something? Like I was about to put in the chat, am I missing? Like I could have just been. So I was like, blood, and I put a question mark.
Jeremy.
Yes, Bryan.
It's a kids movie.
No,
That's the problem.
Disney kids movie.
It was PG-13. They
Yes.
could have some blood in there.
It is.
Okay.
I'm going off of PG-13, Bryan. So
Okay.
Because I said the same thing, Jeremy. You know I did. I was like, what is this killing and no blood? And
yeah, and you know and I remember, I think it was you, Dana, in the chat. Like we were saying, like they're in the alley. Are they even hurt or cut?
I didn't. That whole scene with them being in the alley, I felt like they were just trying to give them the male lead. He's not even a lead. The male interest, I guess, character something to do to make him feel like he's doing something to help the whole situation by holding off those people in there. I mean, it was really the whole scene. If they had taken it completely out, would have made no difference to the movie at all. But I didn't like it because they're in there fighting for literally 10 to 15 minutes, and then nobody is getting hurt, no blood, no nothing. And then in the end, everybody is dead except for the people who've had 2 weeks of training. So the people who had 2 weeks of training managed to kill the people who probably been soldiers and warriors for like all their lives. You know, 5, it's time to start training, and they're the ones who died. Like that whole scene was awful. Like it really did not make any sense. I just was like, can we just pull that out? I know what you're trying to do, but it isn't working.
Yep, editor, cool.
I mean, they literally put a bunch of people in a box and had them fight it out. That didn't seem very creative when they've got all of these options and the whole world, to play in here to make a scene out of that, and they just confined them all into this hallway.
They could have followed the steps and it would look better than that. Like, I don't know what, I can't imagine if the 5 of us were just in a hallway fighting, there'd be blood and, we don't even know what we're doing.
On the walls.
I got stabbed with a pen.
When she was running through the hallway up the side of the walls and those things, I was like, oh, they're gonna really crank this up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
And then as soon as she left the hallway, it's like all that stopped.
Right. And I think a good example to me to contrast it, to kind of get everyone's kind of like view of what I'm thinking, like Wonder Woman 1, when they are flying from the mountain, you got bows and the Amazonians, or the Germans are coming, obviously these bows, but the fight scene was like good to me. And then when I see these, they're just kind of quick, and maybe what I had the issue with is just obviously the frame rate, but maybe it just went so quickly that like it was just like, okay, you just threw that little edit in, and then like what I guess 10-12 seconds later it's on to something else. And I didn't like that. It stood out to me, so I put it in all caps in my notes, in my little church pamphlet here. So I didn't really understand that, but I had to put that. And then back to what you all were saying, but I had a different perspective. So instead of the reveal scene, what I do remember in the original Mulan is that when she was dressing up and trying to cover up herself and cut her hair and do all this in the original, it took like it was a buildup. It was a long buildup, right? Mm-hmm. She cuts her hair. She does all these kind of dramatic, emotional things that really like captivates you. That's where in the movie I loved it. I was like, man, I'm captivated. You got me. Just because the way they did it and the melodical things they did in this movie, what she does, y'all, pretend this pen is a sword. She points it at the screen. She turns around, and then like a minute later, she's like, okay, disguise. And that to me was like a discredit. And it back to my 17 review, I was just like, I think that part where she's going into hiding and disguising herself should have been maybe not as drawn out as the original, but give it more time. Don't just have her point her sword, turn around, edit, in costume, go to the Empire, whatever. Like in the original, I think that's one of those things where they should have kept it kind of like it was, because I remember that was one of my favorite parts, where it was not only dramatic, but that emotional connection where you saw that in other parts of the film really started there. Like she's cutting her hair and you can tell her face, even in the animation, it's like, yo, like I'm about to do this for real. There's no turning back. It is what it is. In this film, again, it's just like a pointing of the sword and whatever. So that kind of took a couple points away. And I do agree. I'm not going to repeat what y'all said about the witch, because everything you said is kind of out there.
I wanted to say, Jeremy, that you mentioned that. I will say the one thing that they did, and I actually did like this, is where they showed her unwrapping her chest to go to bed, because I thought that was, for Disney, a mature step, but which is why we all should, because it's John Blood. But anyway, I really like the way that they did that. I don't know how the original was, but one of the things I was worried about, and I think they handled it better than I expected. Perfectly, no, but handled it better than I expected, is, okay, you're a female, you get here with all these male soldiers. I was scared that they were just going to kind of make it act like she just blended in and everything was good. And they did a little bit of that, but not really, right? No, they make it obvious that she technically wouldn't have been able to do that. There's so many things that would go on, but in real life, they wouldn't have let her stink for 2 weeks. I don't know how long she was there before.
They would have dragged her in, yeah.
Right. They would. I told Corey that they would totally hazed her and made her take a shower. But I felt like at least Disney approached it. They didn't just kind of completely gloss over it. It could have been better, but I feel like for a Disney movie, I was at least they recognized that it wouldn't just be so simple.
Yeah.
That was another point that I was really taking note of too, is that the dangerousness of what she was doing. They really dramatized that. I think a lot more than the other version too. I really felt like she was in jeopardy of being ostracized, and even the dishonor. Like the person that cheated carrying the water up the hill, they really made examples of what it meant to be dishonored and exiled, and when you're not being truthful. So
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So did you want to say something first, Corey?
Go ahead.
It'll be quick. So it's just back to Jeremy and like some of the scenes and not having enough emotion or whatever behind them in terms of some of the action scenes. I don't know how y'all felt. Again, didn't know the story. But when the Phoenix is flying around, at one point I thought the Phoenix was the witch, and that's how she was showing herself to Mulan. I had no idea what it was supposed to be. I did not feel a connection between that Phoenix and Mulan at all. Like, I'm like, at first I thought it was a kite. Then I thought, I was like, oh, pretty, a kite who's flying. Yeah. Then I thought, when later on she wakes up on the gold ice, because it's what it looked like, I don't know what it was, and she sees it, I'm like, oh, the witch has turned into the Phoenix. She was there for her all along. And I realized that's not right either. I just didn't feel the connection there. Like, I almost feel like they needed to give me a little bit more. Maybe the Phoenix need to come down and wrap itself around her and then go through her. I don't know. But I felt no connection with what the whole, I know it was supposedly, I guess, leading her, but I didn't get that connection at all. And I feel like it's tied to like animals and all that stuff that they are, and Dad talked about it, that it would have been a little bit more, have more emotion to it. I didn't feel it.
Well, see, that comes from the dialogue, the little dialogue that the father was giving when he was talking to the ancestors. And that's where you're missing the Mushu character, the animated talking animals, Jeremy. That's where you're missing the Mushu character, because that is what drew the connection together. The Mushu character is the Phoenix, which really was a dragon in the original. And he comes from the ancestors and he guides her along her path to help protect her and be a warrior. And so without that dialogue and without that connection, you are lost. You don't know what the hell this thing is, whatever. So that was needed. That part was definitely needed. If you don't hear it in the dialogue from her father when he's in there praying or whatever, you don't know what's going on. You really don't. And really, you get a connection, but you get it in a really odd way where the wings are coming from behind her in the finale. Like she's turning into a phoenix. That made me just laugh. I was just laughing so hard. But I was gonna say that I agree with what Jeremy was saying and kind of what you're saying here too, Dana, is that the emotional connection between her and her father is really, really strong in the original. Like she really feels the disappointment that her father has for her after she's basically dishonored her family when she does the matchmaker thing and when she's doing other little things. There's a really strong connection between her and her father. There's some great emotional scenes in the original that she feels like a disappointment. When she is like Jeremy was talking about, changing and deciding to go in her father's place, and she's cutting her hair. Before that, when she does the matchmaker thing and she's singing Reflections, she's wiping off the makeup off of her face and just crying. Like she's so upset that she disappointed her family, and she's a disappointment to the village. Like everybody's picking on her and all this other kind of stuff. You miss that whole emotion. They spent more time in the fight scenes and in the training camp. Like that is like a super long second act that they could have trimmed some of that or changed where they put their time, spent their time in more the emotion connection between her and her father, her family, what she was doing for her father afterwards, and this, that, and the other. They could have added all the extra stuff in there. So that whole disconnect and that emotional tie-in is what kind of brought it down for me, because I was like, other than that, it's just like, it's basically the same movie. Like they took so much from the original that I did like. There's a lot of things in there. It's like beat for beat, but then there's a lot of things that I think are missing from a story standpoint and emotional standpoint in this movie. So overall, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was good. Would I watch it again? No. Would I recommend it? Probably not. Because there's especially when you look at some of the other remakes that Disney has done, so the live action remakes, I think they're much better. I find it interesting, Staci, this is the only one that you've seen. I would definitely recommend going back and watching Beauty and the Beast. That is like probably my favorite, and The Jungle Book. But this one is kind of like in the middle somewhere. I don't know.
But I like what Staci said. I think sometimes we need, even though it may be a remake, I think we need to try our best to kind of put that aside, and then no, that's hard. Trust me.
Yeah.
And I say this after watching Dr. Sleep and seeing Jack Nicholson. I know we need to somehow figure out a way to put that aside and really allow whatever they're trying to show us to be its own thing. But I get that it's hard too. It's just interesting to me that people who had seen it before, who didn't do that. So Bryan and Jeremy, y'all rated it way lower than like Staci and I, me never seen it, and Staci saying she really could set it aside and just kind of view it for what it was. So I get that's hard to do, but I think sometimes we have to do that, because otherwise, I mean, there's so many expectations, so many things you can do when it isn't live that it's just it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Period. And then definitely unrealistic to try to do in a live format, that we have to be a little bit more forgiving of that. Now, how much? That's the question. And again, since I haven't seen the other one, I don't know. But I did feel like, and I know I told y'all this movie ended 3 times for me. The real ending, but then it could have ended twice more before that. I was like, okay, this is good. It's over. Oh, okay, no, all right. I mean, I really felt like it could have ended better. I did not like the way they killed the main bad guy. Now, I applaud Disney for actually killing him. Y'all know how I feel about Superman. So I applaud him for applaud Mulan for actually killing him. I didn't understand how she did it though. It looked like there was a knife. It hit him. He looks at his hand. Then it's an arrow. So maybe it was an arrow. I don't know. And then he dies. Now, the whole time I'm like, we got this big pit of lava on the floor. When he falls, he needs to fall in it and let's have ourselves a Darth Vader scene, right? No, like he falls on the cement and then he's still alive. And then she throws whatever she throws at him. Oh, and he dies. Like all of this for that, all of this. I mean, we jumped on a log together. Like, I'm ripping your face off. Like, all the stuff they were doing to have that be the way he died was just like, are you kidding me? Yeah. I don't know how he died in the real one, but
he falls in the fire.
Okay, he should have. Why didn't he fall? It was like right there.
It wasn't a big, like in the original, the whole thing is on fire. Like all of it's on fire. And this one is just like a little bit of fire here, and a little bit of lava pit right here.
What was the point of having it? If because initially I thought that was for the king to fall into, right? So of course, shouldn't the bad guy? Somebody look. We paid Disney. You paid for the lava. Put somebody in it. Like I don't want. $30. You didn't even need it.
If we paid that, I want that.
Well,
I want my screen.
Was the whole structure actually supposed to go up in flames? Like it was a big fire pyre. Yes. He was tied. The emperor was tied to be burned.
See, I thought he was gonna fall in. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
it was like lava on the floor, but they didn't use it.
Was it lava or was it they're building something? I thought that was like
the buildings were on fire. Yeah, the buildings were on fire, and he fell down.
The stuff on the floor looked like a pit.
When they were on the
underneath, like in
on that log thing, the thing that was hanging up, and she was when she was on it, should have just gone down without him on it, and then once he got on it, it evened out, and I was like, they don't weigh the same. Should have why?
She should have fell off that thing.
So I was like, that's not right.
A grain of rice can push the bowl off the log.
It was the force. They were using
the scale. That's what it was. A grain of rice can tip the scale.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Dana to your climactic and dramatic ending to this bad guy, it gave Mulan and the Emperor a chance to coordinate their efforts because he got to throw the arrow and she got to like kick it.
Yeah.
So it was like teamwork.
Masculinity because I really kind of saved myself.
Exactly, Staci.
Thank you.
You saved me. I helped you.
Yeah. It was a little weird.
He got to throw the alley-oop so you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I agree. Yeah.
So are we ready for final ratings?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, we talked this thing to the ground.
I think I have a surprise. I my final rating for this is 4.
Oh, okay.
I really like this a lot more than I expected to going into it, and I was teetering on a 3.5 to a 4, and I thought, I'm gonna give it a 4 because I wanted to sit with all of the other 4 movies, because I do think people will enjoy this, and like you're saying, it's like judge it on its own. It's its own thing. Like a little ways into the movie, I was being grumpy about it and everything, and I'm like, it's a kid's movie. I reminded myself, it's a kid's movie. Watch it as if it's a kid. You're a kid. And then I was trying to think, well, how old? Like, okay, maybe a younger kid, a 12 or 13-year-old, but still, So I gave it a 4.
Okay. I'm staying with my 3. Well, actually, I went down to a 3. I had a 3.5, and I went down to a 3. I'm sorry. I just love the original too much, and I was missing my songs, and I was missing Mushu, and I was missing the emotional beats. I don't know. I kept it as a 3. I'm glad I saw it. I won't see it again, and I can't really necessarily recommend it. So I give it a 3.
So I give it a 3 too, but I'm actually glad there was no singing in it, because I wouldn't have wanted to see that. Like, I think that would have taken away to me from the movie itself to stop and sing about war and in the mirror. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't think I wanted to see that. So I'm okay with that. I gave it a 3 initially. It's still 3 here. I am glad that I saw it. Do I think it would have been worth $29 when it first came out? No. But if I had a family of 4 and we were going to the theater, I think it's perfectly a good movie that I would have taken my family to see in the theater. So I think it's just we're in weird times. But I didn't. It was a good movie. Like I said, I'm glad I saw it. If somebody was like, "Hey, Dana, should I watch this?" Sure, why not? I mean, it's not gonna hurt me. I don't have anything really horrible to say about it. It wasn't the best movie in the world. I'm good with 3.
I think maybe a 3.5. I mean, I'm not sure. I liked it. I'm not sure I would recommend it to someone just for the fact that, depending on the person, if they're a person who like the musicals and all, yeah, you might not like this. And if you have a person that really is into fighting scenes, yeah, this is not really for you either. But but I enjoyed watching it. And so unless you can find that person that's in that, and you're like, I think this is for you. But overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. So that's why I did 3, but I won't recommend if I knew that person or a child, that age group, oh, this is kind of for you then. I'm old enough that I don't want to sing along with all the songs, but my parents won't let me go in and see those other movies. So this is the one for you. So that's why I will give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3. Lack of emotion in certain areas that I think are significant kind of took it out for me. I was like, man, that's what I like the original for. So, what am I watching? The frame rate comment, again, the talking animals at the beginning, I love that part. So without it, I mean, it is a kid's movie. And it's not bad. I'm not saying it was like a throwaway or anything like that. If my cousins or, young nephews or something wanted to watch it, of course I would. But the blood and all the stuff I love about these type of films was missing. So I was like, man, that kind of didn't do it for me. Yeah, wouldn't have paid $30. I mean, no, there's no way. You know how many circus peanuts we could have got for $30? I'm kidding, y'all. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, no, just a 3. So again, 2.5. So 0.5 difference to a 3. I think it's a solid movie. It's okay, but it's not stellar or anything. That's gonna be on my top 5 list. So
I wanted to ask you guys, when we were doing this watch tonight, this feature, we used the Disney Plus group watch service. And there are other platforms that have this as well, but this is the one we could all watch it and sync at the exact same time. So I set up the group watch and sent a link to everyone. And I was just curious about what you guys thought of Disney's option to be able to do that. Did you enjoy it? Do you think it worked well? Would we try it again? What was your experience like?
So I loved it. I like the fact that Disney would even let me send little emojis to the screen. I wish they would have let me put typing on the screen, but then we probably all would have been like and not paying attention, and then or maybe not even been able to see the screen because we've been typing so much. But no, I mean, considering we can't go to the movies like we used to and actually be together, I do think it's one of the next best things. I loved it. It also helps keep Bryan on track with the rest of us when we're watching movies. But look, y'all, I did have to go to the bathroom, and so I went to the bathroom. Corey's like, they're fighting in the, I'm missing. I can't stop it. Because I didn't want to ruin it for anybody else. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. What I'll tell you, I'm disappointed in is Netflix and Amazon and all the other people that don't have it together so that people can do this. If you have a TV, you don't want to watch movies on your phone or your laptop if you have an option. I don't know why, in order to use some of the other services, I can only watch them on a computer. I mean, Disney figured it out. Amazon, come on, you can figure it out. Netflix, you raise price by $1, take that $1, get the research and figure it out, because I would love to be able to do this on all the apps, So
I agree.
Yeah, I liked it too. I like how we were able to have the conversation. We did have a conversation in a different app, just with texting. That's how we did it before. We just would chat in some other chat room, Discord. Yeah. But you're right. Like we would have to rely on ourselves to hit the pause button. And the nice thing was that we could all control the pause button if we needed to. The getting into it though. So I have an Apple TV, and so the Disney Plus app on the Apple TV gave me some trouble. Like even though Corey sent the link, and this is technical, but Corey sent the link, and I saw that I knew that I was in that group, but the only way to see it in the app was to go and find Mulan, and then click the group button and said, "Oh, you're in a group here." So it didn't like jump out in front of me when I opened up the app to begin with, and that's just that's probably on their roadmap to address, but it was hard to get into that. And then once I did click that, it said you can't join or something. It was just weird. I just could not get into it. And I had to quit the app and start it over again, or a couple of times for it to really register. So there's some just technical difficulties. But other than that, it was great.
Yeah, I had to use my phone too to get into it. Like I tried to just log in through the TV because that's how I was going to watch it. I don't even know how it ever got to the group if I also hadn't had my phone, because I ended up having to go into the phone, log in, start the app over on my TV, and then it was like, oh, then it flashed up for me, Bryan, when I first went in, because otherwise I went to the movie, but even there it didn't say anything. It asked me to start a group, so I had to basically started on my phone, and then there's, I guess, a button that says, "You want to see it bigger?" And then I can watch it on my TV. So I agree. There's some work to be done around that.
I was gonna ask a technical question based on what Bryan said, because if you close the app, I didn't know, and I texted. Shout out to Corey, man. Shout out to this man, Corey. He my Best Buy Geek Squad texter.
Yes, he is.
I'm just, for me, I'm very practical. Y'all know that, but I'm just like, if I close something, I didn't want the groups, I didn't want it to mess up the whole group. Hence why it paused for a second on my end, because I was trying. And I know Bryan, that was me. I'm sorry, Bryan. But I was trying to exit out on my phone instead of pausing by hitting the pause button, because I didn't want it to impact the whole group. That was my biggest thing, not how to operate it, but I didn't want to mess up the whole group flow. But I did similar to what Dana was saying. I saw it said, do you want it to project from your phone to the TV? And I was like, of course I do. But I didn't want to do something on the phone mechanism to mess it up, whether I'm hitting a button, whether I'm obviously not pausing, but I didn't want to exit on my phone and get the texting one of you all, and then it just clicks out. Right. And that's my biggest thing. But once I got it, it was easy. But I do wish it had a text function so it's easier to watch. But I do hear what you all are saying, which is it could get in the way of me watching the film, because y'all are funny. Yesterday, I had a blast. Staci, you need. Dang, woman, you off the chain. So I love interacting with y'all, but I was like, dang, what happens if it would have been in the app? So I do like it, but I do wish there was a text function. But it works. If we were to watch another movie in that format, I wouldn't mind it. Whatever, it'd be fun. But I just like interacting with you all, because certain movies we watch, I'm just like, man, I would love to hear such and such his reaction.
Live commentary.
Man. So yes, so affirmative, it is good, but I would use it again. So
what did you think, Staci?
The app, once you told me to download the app on my phone, because once I hit the link and then it brought up the website, and it's like, oh, the login, let me contact Marcy. But then once I put the app, it must have been, I don't know, linked or something, because once I did the app and put it on there, it already had my username and password already in there, and it kind of said okay. And at first it was showing on my phone. I was like, oh, I can't watch it like this.
Right.
And then I went on to my TV, and at that point, when I saw you can join the group, because initially it was the same thing. I went to Mulan first, and it's like, start a group. It's like I thought we were in it, and so, but once I did that and downloaded the app, clicked on that, and then I could see the option that you can join this group. I was like, okay, there we go. And I hit the join the group. So it wasn't as bad. I was like, oh gosh, my first time doing this with y'all, and it's like she's gonna be late. But it wasn't that bad. It's like next time if we do something like that, I'll figure it out a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But I did really like that though, because actually when I'm in a movie theater, I do not say anything because you're paying for it, and I don't want to bother anyone else. Now if I'm watching it from home, it's a different story. But in a movie theater, it's like, Marcy talks, where it's like, I don't like to hear your comments while I'm watching it or whatever. But we're at home, can stop, pause it, go back and forth. And I did like the text, and then we could talk back and forth. It's like, oh, what's going on here? If you had the option, I would think what I would want to not have the text come across the screen, because I do think for some people that would be distracting, and also because my vision, I would be, So if you make it bigger, I'm not seeing the movie. So if they did something like that, it would need to be something like, okay, maybe we're doing a text feature, and since you have your phone, maybe something like that. I don't know if you had to have something like that. But to me, I think our texting on its own would be better, because if you have it on the screen, it's like, okay, I can't even read what you're saying. Sorry. I mean, I can see the little face going, as it comes across the screen. That's fine. But the whole actually seeing stuff, no, I don't think we would want that.
Yeah. That's intriguing, Staci, because I was thinking, this is just a weird thought I had in my mind, but what if this movie was in Chinese and we had subtitles?
I had subtitles, guys. Did y'all not have subtitles?
I did too, so that'd been too much.
Yeah.
And then
So that's interesting. So I thought everybody had subtitles. So okay. Yeah.
So that's the great part about it. Yeah, that's the great part about it, is like they control certain things that we all can control, than other things that we can't. So you could have been watching it in Mandarin and with subtitles, and everybody else watching it in English, whatever. And then also different audio languages, and then you can control, we all control it or whatever, put the emojis on there. But I was liking the fact that anything that you want to watch in Disney Plus, you could do a group watch. So I like the fact that it's not like, oh, you can only do it on this select movies or only on these. You can select anything and do a group watch, but I think it's fantastic. And then the other thing that I was going to say was, man, I lost it.
Did we all?
We can always cut it out.
What?
We all have subscriptions. So do you know if you can invite people who do not have subscriptions to Disney Plus?
Yeah, you can't invite people who do not have a subscription.
Okay.
I do know that. I know that you can also, which this is something that Dana and I was figuring out. You can do it with multiple profiles on the same account. So that's how we were able to watch it in a group with me and her. She did it under her profile. I did it under my profile, and it synced everything up. A little tricky, but it worked. But I like the fact that the host, so I was the host, so I started the group watch, is that I can see when everybody shows up. So you probably all saw it too. It's like, you saw the stream and then you see everybody pop in. That way, when you go to hit play, everybody's actually there. Because I was thinking, I was like, how are they going to know? We're supposed to start at a certain time, and people may be late or whatever. How's everybody going to know? So when I saw everybody popped up there and I hit go to the stream, I thought that was great that it just synced everything up and kept everything together.
Yeah, so they visualize that with a big circle.
Yeah.
And they show the little circles with all of your Disney emojis or avatars that you selected. So if if you ever want to kind of keep your avatar private, just know that if you're in a group, everybody will see your avatars.
So it's funny because when people started popping up, Dana goes, "That's not Stacy, because that's Chewbacca." I said, "That's Stacy."
Oh,
And I had Black Panther. We all know what happens. I was like, to pay tribute to my man. So that thing gonna be stagnant for a while because I'm like, look, I can't put my own face up there, and I think I'm great. So
I like that. I thought that was cute.
Disney's only come so far, so I still have Tiana, but maybe one day we'll have more options.
There's a lot of stuff in there to choose from. I mean, there really is.
is there a limit of people you can have, Corey? So is there a max?
7 people?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do up to 7 people. There's also little things like if you have a kids account, the kids account can only do child rated films, I think. So it blocks it from that. And then four streams per account, so 4 profiles can do it per account. But other than that, I mean, it all works. I think it's great.
So this might be kind of a cool option if you've got a bunch of kids that have been separated, whether they're cousins in different parts of the country or classmates that can't do play dates because we're separated. It's a little bit more fun than a Zoom call. So I wonder if you could coordinate a Zoom call or something so that they could see each other while they're watching the movie. That'd be kind of interesting
cool
for parents to play with, maybe.
That would be really cool. Get live reactions that way.
Yeah. So
AMC doesn't want to hear about that because then we're never leaving the house.
Oh, I think we're gonna have to convince a lot of people to leave the house once all this thing is technically over.
Yeah.
I'm kind of enjoying not leaving the house.
Me too.
Yeah.
But
there's some things I want to do, but then there's some stuff that I used to do, I don't care if I don't do it anymore. You know?
It's mosing.
But no, that was a lot of fun. And we'll hopefully try that again on the Disney Plus app and do another group watch, or hopefully if another platform, decides to get their act together, we'll go and we'll try that. So any other final thoughts anybody has about Mulan or anything like that? Nope. All right.
Good. So thumbs up on Disney Watch or
I was going to
group
say,
party.
it doesn't take much to fool a guy. Just hair off, and that's
right. Girl, when you put your hair away, I'm a boy.
Hair up.
When he jumped in that pond, that water, I said, listen now. She said back up. She said back away. Don't be coming up closer.
You need to put some more bass on her voice too. But
right.
Anyways, well, that was our episode and review of 2020's live action remake of Mulan on Disney Plus. We hope you guys enjoyed that, and we will see you guys next time.